This is the Celtic Soul podcast. I'm Andrew Milne, and joining me for a weekly chat on all things Celtic is Glasgow journalist Michael Pringle. A big shout out to Bill Kiley of Kiley Heating and Plumbing for his kind sponsorship of the podcast. If you're a Celtic minded business or a Celtic supporters club and you like what we do and you would like to support us, email us at info@celticfanzine.com. Thanks to everyone who bought issue 141 of More Than 90 Minutes. The Celtic Fanzine is where it all started for us 25 years ago. The print edition is sold out, but you can still download the digital edition, and we are putting the new issue 142, together over the international break and should have it out for Dundee away. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, and if you're listening on audio, please follow us, and you can also follow us across social media. For more information, visit CelticFanzine.com or download the Celtic Fanzine app on Google Play or the App Store for news, views, upcoming events, and our online shop. You'll also find all our audio, podcasts, and video content there. Event-wise, a big shout out to everyone who came to our John Fallon Tribute Dinner at the Number 10 Hotel in Glasgow, and everybody who supported the fundraising we've been doing for the 12th line. We will be making a donation. We're still waiting on one or two to come in, but we're looking in and around the £4,000 mark. So brilliant, and thanks to everybody who helped us raise that amount of money, which will all go to the 12th line school, which is John's legacy. Next up, we are in Carrickmacross as guests of the Brian Keenan Celtic Supporters Club with John Hartson and Jackie McNamara next Saturday. That one is sold out. In June, we are guests of the Wolftown Celtic Supporters Club in Egan's in Kilkenny with Neil Lennon, the special guest, on Friday the 12th of June. Tickets are limited for this one. It's a small enough venue, but there are some tickets still available from committee members, and details are on CelticFanzine.com. The big one, the Celtic Supporters Festival, takes place in Cabaroy in the Alicante region in Spain from Thursday the 4th of June to Sunday the 7th of June. Let's hope we're celebrating some silverware. Former Celtic players Jackie McNamara, Simon Donnelly, Alan Thompson, Peter Grant, Tommy Johnson and Joe Miller are confirmed for a number of player events, and music will be provided by Clover, Celtic Moods, Antonio Ray and Cooney and Danny. And I'm sure the Rosie Maguire's pub, who are hosting the event, have a few surprises up their sleeve, as they always do. And all information on that one is also over on CelticFanzine.com. It's Tannadice on Sunday. I hope to see a few years on me travels. But for now, enjoy the podcast. Michael, you're very welcome back to the Celtic Soul podcast. Saturday was a good day in Glasgow. 3-1 win over Motherwell. A good atmosphere in the stadium. We then headed to the Number 10 to host the John Fallon Tribute Dinner, the late, great John Fallon. I wonder what he would have made of John Beaton's refereeing performance on Saturday when he was very close to the penalty incident and still had to go to VAR to adjudicate, which was a strange one when he was so close to the foul. He then produced a red card. One of the biggest cheers on the night was for Kilmarnock, when they took all 3 points off Hearts. So with us beating Motherwell and them losing the previous game to Dundee United, it looks like it's now a 3-horse race. So close at the top. We had Simon Donnelly as our guest on Saturday night, and he reminisced about the 97-98 season when we stopped at 10, and that late drama, a week before when he scored the goal, which he thought would have won the league and stopped at 10, and then the following week when he's taken off and Harold Brackback goes on and grabs the headlines. So, it's an exciting time, even though we are looking at a team that is ravaged with injury, especially to a lot of our key players. But it's going to be some running.
It is going to be some running. We keep getting the results. I thought it was a really, really positive performance on Saturday. I mean, there was some anxiety in the first half. Saturday, I find it audibly noticeable for the North Stand in particular, because of where I'm situated in the standing section, and we no longer have the ultras in there to cocoon us for the negativity, I think. So usually you're you're blissfully unaware of the anxiety in any of the other stands because of the noise in there, but it's you're really aware of it now. I thought we were really good, to be fair, and I thought we were unfortunate to go behind. We had some really good opportunities before that, particularly the Negrin chance that he had where he was in front of goal, but he decided to change foot. He done something similar in the second half and lost the ball as well. But I was really impressed with Motherwell again, to be fair. I mean, they don't, even though they lost a goal for playing out for the back, they didn't look as if they were, no matter how hard we pressed them, they just didn't look as if they panicked. And at the other end, they were pressing us, and there was a couple of times when we looked quite panicky at the back. But having said that, we did score a goal for one of their mistakes, and likewise they scored for pressing Hatate really high. But I thought it was a good game. I thought Motherwell deserve all the plaudits they've been getting this season. They were really good. It was a fantastic 3 points for us, I think, because I wouldn't say I was getting into the game with a negative frame of mind, but I thought this is a game that we could slip up, and I think others seen that as well. I think the Hearts fans and the Rangers fans were probably thinking this is a game that maybe not get beat, but could maybe end up in a draw. And I think when Motherwell went ahead, there was maybe some of the thoughts maybe crept into some of our own supporting areas of the ground. But it was a really good performance, I thought. The penalty incident, you asked about John would have thought of the refereeing. I found it astounding, some of the stats that have been come out after that he's gave us 5 penalties or something in 14 years, or 7 penalties in 14 years, but the last 6, 5 of them have been VAR that's indicated that he's maybe not seen something. And how he couldn't see that on Saturday was beyond me, because he's got a really clear, unobstructed view. And I can see it. I'm 120 yards away from it, and I can see it clear as day. The whole ground's seen it, you know what I mean? And yet he chose to ignore it for as long as he could. It was the right decision in the end. Red card, by the rule book, is the right decision as well, because it was a clear goal scoring opportunity. But as usual, you've got the opposition saying that we're getting all the decisions for the referees, etc. It's unbelievable, no? It was as blatant a decision as you could get, and we still had to go to VAR for it. And that's the thing with VAR. I mean, quite a lot of people are against it, but these were the honest mistakes, so to speak, the honest mistakes that the refs are getting away with. And now they're not getting away with them because they're having to go and scrutinise them now, because they know they will be scrutinised. So for me, for all its ills, VAR has definitely been a positive for us, I think, because beforehand, that handball last week, in fact, the 2 previous games at Ibrox there, the decision in the last minute probably wouldn't have been given, and then the Rangers goal where it's been handled into the net probably would have been given. So it's definitely ensuring there's a bit more fairness about how things are looked at. And that's because they've got to. Basically, it's no through choice. I think it broke John Beaton's heart the other week to give us a penalty at Ibrox. But it's the right decision on Saturday, and overall a great performance, and a bit of maybe not a shock, but it was a bit of under par performance down at Kilmarnock for Hearts. And it just shows you how tight it is and how tight it's going to be. Another couple of away games coming up for us, so we'll see how we go on there. Might not be a bad thing that we're away from home. The anxiety is not quite as tangible when we're not in front, so to speak. It was a good weekend all around, including the dinner.
Yeah, I think when I look back at the penalty, Michael, I'm in the main stand, and the 2 players are so isolated. Sometimes something can happen in the box.
Aye, there
So
were
many,
acres of space.
and you would need VAR because, like, well, especially, or you need to watch it on TV when you're at the game, because you just can't see what's going on in the box. But from my position in the main stand, like, I was like with the two players who isolated, the nearest person to them is the referee.
Aye,
And,
aye, it was.
but he need like to, he gets away with this. He can go over then. Oh yeah, I have to give that now. And yet there doesn't seem to be any comeback. He doesn't have to answer to anybody. But he's blatantly missed it because he's chosen to miss it. And then obviously they've gone in his ear and said, you know what I mean? You're not going to get away. You're not going to get away.
It was so obvious, no?
Unless,
I mean, the only argument you can make is he thinks it's minimal contact, but even at that, it looks as if he's wrestled him. He's rugby tackled him to the ground almost. No, it wasn't as if it was just a brush against him or anything like that, which I just don't know what he's thinking, other than that there's that subconscious thing that he doesn't want to give us something.
If I was
that
refereeing
might be wrong.
a Rangers game, I'd be the same.
Well, he was out injured for a while, Beaton, and he's had a couple of our games since he come back, which is probably not a surprise. No. You're talking about Simon Donnelly on Saturday as well in that game at Dunfermline, but I got to speak to Simon before he went up to do his talk, and we were talking about Ibrox, the carry on at Ibrox the other week, and about the Celtic fans breaking into the stadium. As I say, sorry if I keep doing this, but this is where it's been labelled a break-in, as if we're all housebreakers. And I cast my mind back to that Dunfermline game the week before we actually won the title, and I had no ticket, so I jumped in. I jumped to the turnstiles and I ran into the main stand at East End Park, and I was standing there and I was like, right, I'm in. And next minute, the police came and huckled me. The stand was still empty because it was about an hour before kick-off. So they came and huckled me, and I just thought, I'm getting thrown out here. But no, they stuck me in a van and took me down to the police station and threw me in a cell, along with a number of others that had done similar. So, but I was, we were in the cells, and I left the flaps open, or the Fiji your food through, and they left that open, and they put the radio on. So fair play to the coppers in Dunfermline. They let us hear the game, and we heard Simon Donnelly scoring. And just at the start of the second half, he says, right, we're letting you all out. Go back up. The buses were parked next to the stadium. The police station's only about 10-minute walk away. Well, we're letting you all out. Don't try to get into the ground again, or you're in for a week. You'll be back in here for the weekend. I said, right, fair enough. I went up, and Falconbridge equalised just as I was outside the stadium. And, I was absolutely delighted for purely selfish reasons, because I thought, I'm going to get to see us winning the league next week now at Celtic Park. And so it turned out that way. I know that was a bit presumptuous, and it was a bit of a nervy day until Bratback scored the second. But so I broke into the stadium that 1998. I was a bit younger, but no, I wasn't 17 or 18 either. So I was just determined I was getting in to see it. And as it so happened, I didn't see it. I did the following week later. So
you say
criminal behaviour.
You say, Michael, that the police allowed you to listen to it on the radio.
Aye, I don't think a Glasgow police would have.
When you think now that anywhere in the world you can log on and watch a Celtic game,
exactly, aye.
It's probably killed some of the gatherings, across the globe. People who, would have had to go to a pub to get when it was the Setanta thing. But when you think back to that season, we in Ireland couldn't get anything.
Yeah,
there wasn't a lot of Celtic on TV or radio, and I'm almost sure Nave Park ran a bus. I think it was Nave Park ran a bus up north to a pub to listen to the game on radio, because you had to. The further north you went, the better chance you got.
Again, a decent signal
of picking up a Scottish radio station.
Right, okay.
So can you imagine a full bus, Celtic fans, up north on the rip?
Bad enough trying to watch in a pub now, I mean, just listen.
and when I think back as well, we spoke about his last season, which would have been under Dr. Venglos. I think he went before Kane Dalglish, didn't he? And John
I said that, aye.
When you think back to that, the 5-1 game.
Did Lou McCarrick signed him? Aye, the 5-1. Aye.
The 5-1 game was watched on teletext.
Yeah.
And Hilly gave his ticket away, and I think it was himself and Johnny the Fox went into the pub, and after the so they listened to it. No, sorry, they watched it on teletext. They couldn't even listen to it.
Right.
No, this isn't decade. This isn't like 100 years ago. This is just.
I know. It's strange when you think it
20
like that,
years
how
ago.
technology's moved. Isn't it?
Yeah, and I remember, if memory serves me right, they done all the op tracks in the pub, and we carried out, to celebrate a 5-1 goal after watching it on teletext. And the boys on the young lad that does Celtic News now, if you go onto the website, it's brilliant. They have a television that you can switch on and watch teletext on it, and it is all the news of today.
Right.
And then you can switch to other channels, and there was vintage, there's famous games on it. It's
just the nostalgia.
It's really, and it's an old, it wouldn't look TV. It's
retro.
It's absolutely brilliant. So Dave, fair play to you for doing that. He's a bit of a genius when it comes to that, because I just thought it was just, everybody talks about retro now, retro trainers, retro tracksuits, but to bring back CFAX, on teletext is just brings back great memories, because it was like I forget what page number it was, and maybe it was 317 or something, and you would go on and you would say, you would wait for it to change, and there was never anything. It might have changed daily, definitely changed weekly.
It's funny you should say that. There used to be a thing called the Pink Times in Glasgow on a Saturday, and it was basically, it came out on a Saturday afternoon, but it came out just before. It was a sports paper. It was Evening Times, but it was a sports version of it, right, on a Saturday. We called it Pink Times, and it came out, and the match reports would run to about 60 minutes. So you get off the bus. You get off the bus coming back from Celtic Park in the city centre, and you'd be grabbing a paper and you'd be looking at it. So it would tell you the score to 60 odd minutes, but you wouldn't know what the final score was. No, so till you get home, or else we were all standing looking in a TV shop window, looking to see the scores coming through. If you weren't there at the game, no, see what the score was. Big queues at the front of DER, or what would be the equivalent of Curry's now.
It's incredible. It's incredible, and like for the Irish diaspora and the Celtic diaspora, like many people I've interviewed, and they said, they listened to, I think it was one of the boys from the Fenian boys was telling me that some game he rang home, and his mum put the phone beside the radio, and that's how he heard the game. So you can imagine how much it cost them from New York there. And then a lot of lads would have waited for the newspapers to be posted over to read the match report. Incredible, isn't it? And there's a famous one over here. Like, so when Setanta Sports came out first, basically what they were doing was they were broadcasting games into, it was Gaelic that Setanta started with.
Yeah.
So they were broadcasting Gaelic games into America and London and that, but I think they were delayed.
Right.
So how they started was, and I stand corrected, but I remember watching a chat show and someone was on it and they were saying that, so say the game was on in North London and it was advertised in the King's Head upstairs, right? So people paid £1 in, and the coverage started that evening, so they wouldn't know the score.
Right.
So the game would be, the All Ireland final would be recorded on a VHS cassette, and as soon as the game was over, that guy would then go to the airport, fly to London. He'd be picked up in London with the video. He would go in and put the video on, and that's how they started off, and that's how they were making their money. They were flying, and it wouldn't have been cheap to fly then. But they were on the next flight out, and that game was shown. And then sometimes it was shown on a Monday night in other pubs. But it was a VHS video that was flown. Isn't it incredible the lengths that people would have went to watch? And now we are, spoiled and awash with, 24/7 coverage.
Incredible.
Overload. And what you do is you kind of miss some stuff.
Aye, you can that can happen. You can miss quite a lot of stuff because there's just so much to take in now, and obviously you've got life can get in the way as well when you're trying. I mean, you can't spend 24/7 trawling the internet for Celtic related stuff. You could do it. You could do that no problem. I mean, the wealth of stuff that's out there. I mean, it's at varying degrees of quality is incredible. Now it's just and everything's at your fingertips. No, I think it's great because it can quite quickly. You can tell bullshitters now. You can catch them out quite quickly, which you didn't have. Couldn't do in the past. I mean, people used to tell you stories and you had to believe them. Yes or no? Do I believe them? No. I was shark wrestling in Cuba. All right, okay. So he was shark wrestling in Cuba. Right, he's a shark wrestler. Now you just do that. No, I don't know. 2 minutes. And there you go. You've got everything at your fingertips. You can go. Well, not quite correct. There's no sharks in Cuba,
Yeah,
etc.
I took all the mammies out yesterday because I didn't think I'd be back in time for Mam's Day, but I changed my flight on Sunday and came home in the morning rather than hang around Glasgow all day.
Aye.
So I took Sandra's mum and Sandra and my own mum out for lunch yesterday, and they were reminiscing. You know, the two mammies were reminiscing, and
About the good old days.
they were reminiscing a bit because an Irish girl won an Oscar, a Kerry girl won an Oscar, and they were saying that they thought Maureen O'Hara had
Mm.
won one, and then obviously the Quiet Man had been showed on St Patrick's Day, and as it is every year, and that came up, and they were reminiscing, and I was able to go to my phone and just they were saying, I never won, because Maureen O'Hara was born in Ireland. It
Mm.
says she's American Irish, but she was born in Ireland, and she didn't win an Oscar, so. We could quickly look at our phones and
Aye.
tell
That's
them, the facts. And but now it is, yeah. There's just so much content, and it's great because you can pick what you want to consume.
aye. That's it.
Like
That's it. You can
there's
pick and choose what you
so
like.
many podcasts, so much. The only thing I think that is getting lost is I think quality writing is disappearing. I think
There's a lot of AI's got a lot of blame to shoulder for that as well. I think. You know what I mean, because even news agencies are using AI for a lot of their stuff. I mean,
yeah,
aye.
which
It
is a
has it.
shame.
Aye, it has it. Obviously has great benefits for people and stuff. But I was talking to somebody last week and they were talking about AI, and they're a lecturer at university in Martin, and they're saying you can tell students are using AI to write their stuff now. He says, and says you're having to either. He says there's two scenarios. He says you pass them because the content's correct, but you know deep down that they've not written it themselves. Says or the ones that are doing it themselves, it looks completely different. You're having to fail them because it's no written properly. It's absolutely bizarre. You know what I mean, so aye, I mean, people are always going to. People are always going to use these tools to the best of their ability, but when it comes to actually replacing the human sort of touch, then I don't think it's ideal. No, no. Aye, there's
Well,
so many manipulated images online now as well, and you can sort of tell the AI ones because they look almost cartoon-like in some respects. No, but
yeah,
aye,
and you look, Michael, as well at just say from the fanzine point of view, uh, like away days was very popular, always been a popular
yeah,
column in the fanzine. You've done plenty of them. The late Scott, who wrote for many years for us,
Crystal.
from Scott Crystal from his European travels, yourself, myself. We've had a couple of others have wrote bits and pieces, but can you imagine trying to write that with AI? The
I
carry
know.
on of some of them away trips.
Aye, I know. Aye, it just
uh,
wouldn't do
so
it justice.
even a review of a gig, like you need to be there to and like a good writer can take you to the gig.
Yeah.
You know,
Aye,
uh,
that's it. It's about painting a picture, innit? It's not just about stating the facts. You've got to paint a picture and add character to what you're actually describing, no? So, aye,
it's like there is like um I was sending out the stuff for the fanzine, just reminders that I was going to put together over the international break and the next issue. And Stephen McAvoy said to me, his young lad's 10 and he has his own website and he writes about Celtic. I think that's incredible. So I said, yeah, get him to send. We'll do something on him because that is like. There's so many young lads just think that they can put a camera in front of themselves now, record for 30 seconds, and fair play to them if they have the content and the viewers. But for a young lad to be sitting down without AI and writing at such a young age about Celtic is incredible.
Aye, I mean, there is so many now that are just camera in front of them. TikTok generation is go on about again, but they're all fighting for the same audiences. But that's the issue. So, I mean, we could all probably do it, but it's getting that sort of unique selling point, that niche in there that makes you different and makes you noticeable, I suppose. No, so
funny you should say TikTok. We put so
I heard.
basically this has always been an audio podcast, and if we get time, we put the video out, and if we don't, we don't. It's all about time and how busy I am when it comes to editing. But I always the audio always goes out, and that's and that the audio, because of obviously it was about there was a lot of the content in the last podcast was about the Rangers game. So you nearly know straight away when you put a podcast out because if it's gonna get a lot of listenership because the audio goes, and sometimes it can be timing. And we put that out on Thursday night, and by midnight it was, it had kind of exploded. Then I decided to put the out on YouTube the next day, and we don't get huge hits on YouTube. I think the most we've had is about 10,000. I think that was Paul Heaton. But I clipped you for 6 minutes and put you on the reels on social media and TikTok. Facebook was incredible, the numbers, and TikTok. And you didn't even know, and it was until Saturday night until I showed you. But it just goes to show that, but it's like it's not 30 seconds. It was 6 minutes. It still takes, you still, and then from that, I'm sure a lot of people would have went on to the audio because when I look at the figures and the analytics of the podcast, our listenership is 45 up. Generally.
Funnily enough, right, I was up at the school the other day collecting my children, and somebody approached me and says, "You popped up in my TikTok." I mean, all right. I mean, that's an older guy, a guy older than me, and he's like, "I didn't know you'd done that. I didn't know you were a journalist." I see, aye. So that was it. They got talking about that.
Again, like you could, if you had the time, you could sit and chop all because there's so much good content on the podcast. You could chop up loads of stuff. But again, it's down to time. I always say, you if I'm not busy with my own work, if I'm putting out a lot of Celtic content. But if I'm busy and you don't see it, you'll know I'm making a couple of quid. So I'm happy. I'm walking away because again, like I have with my own work, I have busy weeks, you've quiet weeks, but the quiet weeks do give me a chance to write, record, and it is nice, and I love this one, Michael, because it's become a weekly thing now, and we get a great catch up because Saturday night was probably the first time we'd seen each other since you drove me to the game.
The Dundee game,
the boycott
game.
game. And that was only we were in the car for about 10 minutes, so it was nice to sit down and have and reminisce. Talking about reminiscing, Paddy's Day. Always, it was great to see the St. Patrick's Day parade. I wasn't at it. I was travelling on Saturday morning, seeing the videos. Great to see it in Glasgow. But another Glasgow iconic event is Stiff Little Fingers in the Barrowlands. And I believe you were there.
They actually played 2 nights. I think the last couple of years they've done 2 nights because it's so popular. It sells out really quickly. So I went along on the Monday night, so it wasn't actually St. Paddy's. It was the 16th of March. They're still making a noise. They sound very polished these days, to be fair. It's not got the rawness that they had back in the 70s and early 80s before they disbanded for a few years. But it's a sing along, no, a long sing along, some great old tunes, and I mean it's great to be able to still see these sort of types of bands that were around when I was a teenager. Know that I was listening. I mean, I still listen to stuff like the Clash and all that quite often. Even though my wee boy's 8, but he keeps telling me to put Green Day on instead of the Clash now. So, or the Interrupters now. But I say no. I try and tell him, say, look, this is before Green Day and that came about, no? So
They're giving him an education.
Aye, I'm trying, know what I mean? But he also likes Rick Astley and stuff like that. I go, Rick Astley, how did you get into him?
He's never going to give you up.
Tears for Fears, this is another man, isn't he? He comes in, listen to this, and I'm like, aye, I've heard that before.
That's brilliant. Great to hear, Michael.
1984.
He didn't lick it off the street.
So aye. I try and get him all musical education, but
I saw Sliffs in this summer in Belfast, outdoor gig, Custom House Square, I think it's called, and it was absolutely brilliant. And Sham 69 were one of the support acts, and that was just probably the best half hour I've had at a gig in a long time. It was just from start to finish. Jimmy Posey was just so.
I've seen Sham 69 a couple of times. Huh?
And it's funny. I done 2 gigs over the weekend. I done Paddy's Eve, and it was kind of a younger crowd. And last Friday night, probably because Chatelain was on, a lot of the older lads they stuck it well. They were still out after the racing, and they were in. And you get lads coming up, and one lad come up and he said, "They play Sham 69." I haven't had anyone ask me to play Sham 69 in years. So I stuck them on. And I think I played Boston Breakout. And
the record place.
He came up to me. I played Boston Breakout, then I played Stiff Little Fingers, Gotta Get Away. And he come up to me after and he says, I thought he was coming up to thank me. And he come up and he says, "Are you going to play Sham 69? I says, "I played them."
They played it, yeah. It was the next door.
He may said he did play them because they were sitting right beside the decks. And I said, "I did play them." And he says, "Oh, fuck, I must have been out having a fag."
Right, that sounds similar to me. I stood through that full Stiff Little Fingers gig the other night, and they went off, and we were guessing what they were coming on today for the encore, and I was like, "Not done Nobody's Heroes," and a boy told me, he says, "That was the second song they done." And I was like, "Is that how bad my memory is? I can't remember an hour and a half ago." And sure enough, they had played it. That was the second song. They started off with Tin Soldiers and then played Nobody's Hero. Brilliant. But what they did do was they did a cover song. They done Johnny Was. I know you're a Bob Marley fan, so I hadn't heard that for a number of years, to be fair. So I seen him last year. I sort of fell out with him for a number of years and hadn't went to see him.
I remember the
issues we'll no go into here, but
I remember the article and I remember the letter from them.
Aye. So
fair play to them. They did come back to us.
Aye, I don't think my boycotting them for years did much difference to their attendances anyway. They still seem to be selling out every year, so I've sort of forgiven them after all that time. A bit like Kilmarnock. I never went there for a number of years either after they abstained for the 2012 vote. So
A man of principle most of the time.
Aye, sometimes, but principles don't get you tickets and stuff for cup finals, do they? I'm always like that. Oh. I took myself off the home cup ticket scheme years ago because I thought this is speedy boarding for fans, and people was like, "I'll stick to your principles and stuff." And then I thought, principles don't get you cup final tickets when they come in. When it's all good and well.
And hopefully we'll have a cup final. There'll be a statue. There'll be a holy statue going in the window here the day of the semi-finals because Connor is coming home for the final.
Hey.
If we get to the final, and his mammy is praying hard that we win the semi-final against St Mirren because she's looking to have a little boy home for the game and to spend some time with him. So so that's. But a player that won't be playing in that final is and. This was a strange one. Someone sent me a text to say that had I seen Casper Schmeichel on the TV, and I hadn't. And he could basically come out and said that he was going to be out for over a year with an injury. The Martin O'Neill has obviously been covering for him at press conferences. But the question, right? You could see he was injured. You could see
it was obvious. It was really obvious in some of the games and some of the goals he lost. He was gone with the right hand rather than the left.
And no one is complaining that Sinsalo is in the goals. No one is complaining. He's done really well. But does this go back to how poor at communicating Celtic are? That they couldn't come out and say, "This player's injured. And he's going to be out." Because he had with every other player.
Aye, but if you're a player, I mean, I suppose it might be even less obvious when you do fitness tests and stuff if you're a goalkeeper, because you'll still be able to do the running and stuff, maybe stretch. It'll really only be diving and landing, I suppose, that's that's the issue. I mean, he's maybe just masked it well. He's maybe he's maybe gave up 90%, but I'm still fine. But it was obvious in the games that it was. I mean, he was making other errors, but when you look at the goals they lost, the one at Kilmarnock, I think he was just gone with the wrong arm and stuff. If you're like, so it was obvious to us. So I don't know what the deal is there. If they just thought, right, he's okay to play on or whatever, he was taking injections or whatever. But it's obviously a psychological issue as well, because if you've got an injury, you do subconsciously try to shield it for harm, no, or for further harm. So I don't know what the answer is there, but you can maybe lay all the blame at Schmeichel's door, but you've got to look at the coaches and stuff and go, surely they should see that. And maybe they just thought, oh, it's his experience, he'll be able to tell himself if he's no fit, and he'll be honest enough to. I mean, I think Schmeichel's a brilliant goalkeeper. I think it's quite sad that this could be what he's. This is the tail end of his career. Could be the end of his career completely, and this is what he'll be remembered for as the mistakes this season. When he really has been a fantastic keeper, and up to the cup final, it was great last season for us. I thought up to the cup final, but rushed back, injury, makes a mistake, and it cost us. No, it cost us sorely in May. Let Aberdeen back into the game when they weren't in it at all, no. But that's always you're always guarding a 1-goal lead at your peril, no. But he should have maybe fessed up himself beforehand and done that. Look, I'm not quite fat enough. I should, but that was maybe the decision's been left in his hands, and he's just thought, if you're a player, you want to play. That's the bottom line, no.
But he's got he's in the playoffs. Denmark are in the playoffs, so obviously. He's still the number one keeper. He's got that. Who doesn't want to play at a World Cup? Like, we've been knocked out by Denmark in playoffs. Ireland have been knocked out. Schmeichel was the goalkeeper, so there's no love lost when it comes to international football. But they we play the Czechs in the playoffs, and then if we win that, we play the winners of North Macedonia and Denmark in Dublin.
Right.
So. From an international point of view, the last thing I want to see is Denmark going to World Cup at the expense of Ireland. But at the same time,
they're a good side, Denmark, no.
Yeah, and we went over the last playoffs. The last playoffs we went over there. Remember, it was freezing, and we drew 1-1. We came back thinking, oh no, we can do this. And Shane Duffy scored the opener. I think we were 1-0 up. I think we were 1-0 up at half time, or certainly close to half time. And we lost 5-1. And I think that was Matt O'Neill's swan song then as Ireland manager. So it's mad the twists and turns he's had with Schmeichel internationally and at club level. But whatever the outcome is, you'd have to wish him the best of luck, because he has been a quality keeper over the years, and he's had an amazing career.
I was watching a programme a few weeks back on Sky Sports, and he was named in the top 20 EPL keepers of the whole time, no. So he's definitely been doing something. It's maybe just a pity we got him at the tail end of his career when you do get injuries and stuff. It is harder to come back from and stuff like that. No,
Father time waits for nobody.
It does look a bit out of condition as well. I think that's the other thing. So maybe slowed up a bit, his reflexes and stuff, and his decision making. No, so but I'll not hold it against him. But he should have took himself out before he did, and it would have prevented some of the abuse he got as well, I think. No, so goalkeepers will always make mistakes, but some of the errors or the goals you lost have been done to either that injury or his general condition. A good goalkeeper. It's I mean, I've spoke to some Celtic fans who absolutely detest him, for what reason. He's out there trying to do his best for us. It's not quite happening, you know what I mean? So, But maybe should have took his cell at the firing line before it was the issue was almost forced for him, not but Sinny Sal's been looks an able deputy, look very assured at Ibrox the other week. Some people saying, "Oh, you still no shouldn't be on number one and stuff." I don't see any reason why he shouldn't until he makes errors. Or he looks, I mean, he's good. He came for crosses and stuff like that, which is quite unusual in a modern day keeper. And he can talk as well. But it looks at, he seems to be able to bark orders at those in front of him. No, so
yeah, he seems a confident young lad.
He does,
Michael, another you sent me again. With so much coming at you between social media, TV, Netflix, YouTube. I didn't see the Ultras documentary on the BBC.
Yeah.
We don't get the BBC player here. You can pick it up north. So I haven't seen it. I've heard it spoke about on another podcast. What's the story with her? Is it a couple of parts, or is it what?
It's a three-parter covering the ultras scene and the growth of the ultras scene in Scotland. I mean, it's a bit of a mixed review. The first three parts. The first part was basically about the rise of the ultras going back. So basically, it covered a lot of the first programme there covered smaller clubs and how almost every club in Scotland has got an ultras group, even the non-league or the West of Scotland League, which is sort of seventh tier and 8th tier football. They've all got wee groups of 50 and 60 wee ultras that are going to ling with drums and pyro and having a good day with their pals. So it covered that, but it took a bit of criticism for there was a 10-year-old boy that was included and a podcaster, a YouTuber guy, Blair McNally, I think it is. So he's been going basically documenting all these lower league clubs and stuff as well as the bigger clubs. But he comes across as a bit of overzealous youth, so I speak on it. So he's took a bit of criticism. The 10-year-old boy, the programme makers are taking a bit of criticism because they're going, why is this 10-year-old boy in it? Because he's like a Spartans fan. He's a Spartans fan and a Hibs fan. But his mum takes him to Spartans every week and goes along with his drum. But he's absolutely he's just obsessed with the sort of ultra scene. So this is what it's showing you. It's showing you these. I can get where the programme makers are coming from because it's showing you that this isn't going to go away. This is what young people are aspiring to, is to be part of this subculture now that's thriving around about the Scottish game, and sort of makes a mockery of the band that's going on at Celtic Park with the Green Brigade. They ask a wee boy who's the best ultras in Scotland. He hedges his bet somewhere and he goes Celtic or Rangers, no, despite him being a Hibs and Spartans fan. But quite a bit of the programme focused on Motherwell boys and Partick Thistle. So Thistle have got.
He's a Thistle fan, isn't he? That lad is a Thistle. One of the makers is a Thistle fan. That lad that documents the stuff.
Or the Blair McNally guy.
I think so.
I don't know, but he didn't make a programme. The programme makers he's just involved. He's just part of it. Right. But I showed you Thistle. They're sort of evolved during COVID. They were outside the ground watching the game when the games were played behind closed doors. They were up in the Canal Bank watching it over a wall with a pyro and stuff, and they just thought we can have something for you. Thistle done a very good thing, right enough. They had they started a singing section behind the goal, which sort of helped their ultras group evolve somewhat, because they gave out free season tickets to the under 16s for a while. So it brought young people in that maybe wouldn't have had the opportunity to go. Motherwell boys, it was two of the sort of older guys who, one of them I know personally. He works in politics actually, and the other guy was a school teacher. So they're going about how everybody perceives these people as wee fannies, so to speak. That's quite often the thing. A bunch of wee fannies, but I mean, everybody watched this coming from Italy, and in the 80s or whatever, when we were watching Italian football on TV, and a lot of it stuck with a lot of people. But it just shows you that it's not going to go away. This is a thing that a lot of these young people are going to the football, not because of what's happening on the park, but because of what's happening off the park, and the camaraderie and the sort of the friendships and stuff that they can form through this. Obviously, there's the ugly side to it as well, which I think the second programme's going to focus on, because it showed your trailer at the end, the second one. As I say, they're all on iPlayer, but I've not watched the second one yet. I will get around to it sometime this week, but I think that's going to be more the ugly side, the sort of violence side of it and stuff. And I'm not sure what the third one was, but I overall I thought it wasn't a bad for somebody that didn't. Tom English was one of those that was speaking on it as well, and they had a forensic psychologist, a woman forensic psychologist, who was talking about different subcultures, everything for music subcultures and stuff, and about sense of belonging and stuff like that. So well, some of the clubs are really embracing it, no, and for a lot of these smaller clubs, it's 50 or 60 people coming through the door that they wouldn't have had otherwise, that are paying money and buying stuff and basically cheering the team on. So it was quite interesting. It wasn't a perfect programme by any means, no. There was quite a lot of, I thought, it's a bit, but it gave, if you don't know anything about the ultra scene in Scotland, then it gave you a basic understanding of what it is and how it's developing. So I think the second one might be a bit tastier though, by going by the small clips that it showed you beforehand though. So
yeah,
we'll see.
if anyone listening and they know where I can watch it, without going on the playoff, because I'll have to wait till I have I'm in hotel room in Glasgow, because all the TVs now have the playoff, and I generally catch up on stuff there. So if anyone knows where I can watch it, if it's on YouTube or something, give us a shout. Then Michael, you were the first person that spoke to me about ultras. You were the first person to write about ultras. You wrote so much over the years in the fanzine. You were my go-to man. You kind of, because of your travels around Europe, you were more aware of the ultra scene before it even hit Glasgow. 20 years of the Green Brigade then. So you've kind of you're in the standing section. You've always had a good knowledge of it. So you always seem to be able to have a balanced view on it from within. I know you've retired from the ultra scene now, but you're still in the singing section. So, but I know you're still around. You know a lot of the ultras. I stood with the boys in Stuttgart, and I have to say it was the atmosphere was brilliant with the drum and the singing and the camaraderie. And there was a couple of PSG fans in. They've
got a good friendly relationship with some of the guys.
Nice lads, yeah. Couple of decent blokes in chatting to them at half time and that. But we still have ongoing talks about getting the Green Brigade in. This blanket ban on everybody for we don't seem any further on. But from
I don't think the club are interested, to be honest.
From my point of view, sitting in the main stand, I get the noise and the boys on the left. But there was a big improvement on Saturday with the atmosphere, and hopefully that can continue, because if the lads back in, everybody missing that, 150 or 200 or so singers who back the team even when we're losing. They're not the moaning and groaners like we are in the main stand. But we do need now, to feed off. The atmosphere really grew on Saturday, I thought, when they went down to 10 men. We scored a penalty, and then Celtic the players seemed to be playing freer. There was flicks, and there was, we get the third goal, and then it's relief more than anything. But I felt for the first time in a long time that the fans were up for it now, vocal and up for it, and hopefully now we know it's going to be like that away from home. We know the two games away, Dundee United and Dundee. But so just if you can give us your thoughts on where we are now with these meetings and what you know.
it doesn't look as if the club are interested in getting anybody back. They're just playing the long game and keeping them out and hoping that we keep winning. I think that's what they've got in their minds. The atmosphere was better on Saturday, but in a lot of respects, it's still reactive rather than proactive. I mean, it's easy to be vocal and get behind the team when you're winning, but it's not so easy when you're behind or up against it. And I think that's really where the ultras keep it going. No, they can sort of keep the atmosphere going when things aren't quite happening for us. But I mean, there's a lot. You can still hear a lot of the groans and stuff, and I think the anxiety creeps onto the park at times when you can hear it. I can certainly hear it anyway and feel it. But I don't think the club have any real desire to get them back. No, which is absolutely sad. You know what I mean? It's just sad. I mean, I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but we're getting into these games and we could have Celtic Park absolutely rocking for some of them. And I think the clear indicator for me was that the club removed the capo stand really early into the ban, though, and I just thought, set the tone there, they've now. I think they'll just keep kicking it into the long grass, keep kicking the can down the road, and hope that we keep winning, and then it'll all be forgotten about. But say the ultras aren't going to go away. No, the boys are actually just it's rather than proactive. It seems their support's just reactive as well, joining in when the rest. I mean, not actually promoting. No starting songs and stuff like that. They're just joining when others are starting them and stuff like that. So after watching that programme, you go, this is the genie's out of the bottle. The genie's out of the bottle with the ultras. As I say, it's been out of the bottle for years. It's not going to go back in, regardless of banning them or no. They're still going to be about. They're still going to turn up at away games whenever they can. They're still going to turn up at home games and sections whenever they can. So, I think the real issue is Mark Hargreaves. To be honest, that's my opinion. When you've got former policemen overseeing match day events for your side of things, then I think it's always going to be like this. I mean, if you take a fan's view of a game, how a game should be, and take a police officer's view of how a game should be, then they're never going to meet anywhere. And if you look at the policing operation at Ibrox the other week, that's where the police think of football fans. So we've got a former top cop as our head of security and safety. That's just for me. That's no. I think we'd be better having a lawyer or something as a head of safety and security rather than a police officer. No, which quite a lot of European clubs have got. Even former fans and stuff like that. I mean, St. Pauli, for an example, Sven Brooks, he's a head of security there. He was a supporter, no? And they've got much more pressing things to deal with than we've got. I mean, the Germans have got to deal with a lot on match days in terms of security, with visiting fans, thousands upon thousands of ultras appearing. It's not just a group of 50 or 60 or 700 visiting fans. They've got 5,000 and 6,000 visiting fans and stuff like that. So I just think, for me, I just think unthinking respect for authority is the greatest enemy of the truth. And I think Celtic have just fabricated stuff for day one, for the Falkirk incident, which wasn't a huge incident, but they seem intent on creating a narrative that just doesn't sit with me or with most right-minded thinking people, I would say, because they keep claiming they keep making these claims of intimidation and harassment. I mean, that's just police officer. A former police officer been in the job for 30 years now. You're not going to tell him two wee skinny guys at an AGM have threatened and intimidated him and his family. It's just absolute nonsense, no. But that's the narrative they're painting. Brian Wilson's a former politician, so he's good at he's good with words and good at creating a narrative as well. but it's just getting booted into the long grass and cans getting kicked further down the road, and that's their hope that if we keep winning, then the crowd will, the support will become less and less worried about what's happening with the fans. But nobody should forget this season what's happened with the AGM, with Ross Desmond's statement on behalf of his father. I mean, there's just so much went on this season.
The management merry-go-round.
The management merry-go-round, the transfer windows, everything, the Chirac debacle, that's all you could call it, no?
Yeah.
Aye, so
But
there's just so much, no?
Hopefully it won't be forgotten about, because it's documented and people have spoke so much about it. But
aye,
for the
it's
rest
going
of
to
the
take it's going to take a long time to heal the rifts between the support and stuff. And I think they're just hoping that we'll win the league or we'll win a double and that'll be us. But that could so easily go the other way as well, no?
Yes.
We've still got to catch Hearts.
But we hope that we're celebrating a double. It would be incredible to be celebrating a double, and they'll be if we do, they'll be carrying Martin O'Neill on the shoulders throughout the city, because it would be an amazing feat for his twice coming back. But that the fight back, the Martin O'Neill fight back and the Martin O'Neill factor continues on Sunday. Midday kickoff when we travel to Tannadice to take on Dundee United. What's your thoughts on that one, Michael?
We already lost there this season, so we should be. I know it was Wilfred Nancy was the manager at that time. We really should have buried them by. It should have been 5 or 6 ahead by half time.
Yeah.
I think that obviously that'll be flagged up to the players that look. We kind of got up here just presuming that we're going to get 3 points. So it's going to be a hard fought one. I'm hoping that Tannadice is generally a good hunting ground for us over the years, though. We've won titles and stuff there previously. I am just hoping that we can continue if we were. Well, I mean, the players looked really fired up on Saturday. I thought even at the end of the game they looked over the moon with the result, no. And obviously the result later on in the day helped as well. So we're within touching distance now. So let's go. I'm hopeful that we can get the win. I'm confident that we can get the win. But I still that wee bit of that was wee bit of doubt that maybe we've no quite turned the corner, no, because we've looked this way already as if maybe this is a game we'll kick on for, and then we go out and there's another poor performance the next week or an average performance. So we need a 90-minute performance. I thought we got that on Saturday. A lot of our performances this season have been 45 minutes or less, and it's been enough to get us over the line in most of them. But to say that game earlier in the season at Tannadice, we performed for 45 minutes and that, and then second half we just, I don't know what happened, but just looked a lack of coherent structure in what we were doing in the second half. But I'm hopeful that we'll get the win, and I'm fairly confident that we will as well, given any major mishaps in the game like penalties or red cards and stuff like that. So hopeful.
It's
a lot more confident than I was previously.
It's interesting to say, but when you think back to Wilfred Nancy, we played. There was a bit of a toxic atmosphere that night. If you remember, fans were up beside the board. We had a really good first half. It should have been out of sight, as you said. And you're thinking at half time, have we turned the corner here?
Yeah.
Because we'd beaten Livingston and we had two wins, I think, over Christmas. And this was the third game, was it, of that sequence? Or was it before Christmas?
The 22nd, I think.
No, it was before.
Aye, we played Motherwell after Christmas.
At half time, we were thinking, oh, geez, decent performance, And again, it was a lot of chances wasted. Whatever Wilfred Nancy said at half time had the opposite effect, because Dundee United came out and they were the aggressors and played us off the park in the second half. And that was when people were starting to call for Wilfred's head. I remember him walking on his own under the tunnel where we were positioned, and you felt sorry for him because he looked like he looked lost, and
Aye.
then and obviously it's well documented his 23 days or whatever. But it has been a happy hunting ground for us. We have won titles now. Do you think the fact now that no midweek games, that for the first time that we had a 90-minute performance. Now we've had a couple of really good performances in Europe under O'Neill as well. But we had this 90-minute performance. Well, players had a night out. I'm sure they had a good night out after the Rangers game, probably a day off. Came back, and then the coaching staff had time to walk with them because they haven't really had. And now we have another week, and with so many, we'll say, first team players, maybe 6 players out that would be in the starting 11. With them out, maybe it is time. Maybe it is great now that the coaching staff, Sean Maloney and his team, are getting time now to walk with these players. That to give them the philosophy of how they want to play. Plus, they're getting recovery time, Michael.
Yeah, that's probably a big issue as well, because we've had that Sunday, Thursday thing for so long now, and we're actually getting a bit of a breather now, I think, both as the players and the support as well, so we're getting a wee bit longer to look forward to what's going on next. So I think we might start getting a couple of players back as well for injury, which might help matters. Now I've seen Alistair Johnson's back in training, although the right back area seems to be covered quite well just now.
But the Mexican Arajo was missing on Saturday. He pulled up before the game. So I thought the young lad done well when he came in.
He did. I thought Colby Donovan done really well. No, I mean, he was substituted sort of late on in the game, but I'm pretty really impressed with him. The games is people keep going on about, he's maybe not the best defensively and stuff, and he's a young guy, you know what I mean? So it's great to actually see somebody coming through again, given that we lose so many people, so many young players from our academy in recent years and stuff. So I thought it was positive. I like his style. He's really good going forward, I think. And he doesn't look to no take a ball. He's always looking to take a ball. You know what I mean? And he's physically, he's a strong boy, but I like him, Colby, So we look pretty well covered in that area.
Rangers and Hearts are both at home the weekend. Am I correct?
You might be.
I think Rangers. We've 2 away. I think.
But they'll be at home if
Rangers have 2 at home, and I think Hearts have 1 and 1.
Right.
So interesting times. I don't think any of us saw them dropping points against Kilmarnock. I think if you looked in from a neutral point of view on the weekend, you would have thought, Celtic are the most likely to drop points because they play Motherwell, who have been one of the surprise packages of the season. But Kilmarnock and St Mirren, both teams struggling, so you didn't expect. But as I said, Saturday night was added to a great evening.
Hearts are home to Dundee, and then Rangers are home to Aberdeen on Saturday evening. So
the pressure could be on us.
Aye, both of them are Saturday games. So
football's a strange thing. Hopefully, some of them drop points or both.
Aye. Then the following week, Rangers are home to Dundee United, and Hearts are away at Livingston. So it's probably 2 games that you would expect Hearts to win. And I'm probably going to see past Rangers winning 2 home games either, would you? But you're not certain in this life.
It's going to be interesting. We need to keep winning, and the split looks like it could be one of the best splits ever.
It's going to be each of the games. There's not going to be any givens in the game, the 5 games that you've got left. Given the teams that's going to be in it, Motherwell, Falkirk, looks as if we'll be home for 3 hours. I think it'll be Falkirk, Rangers and Hearts will be home for. So, and we'll be away to Fir Park and Easter Road. So, no easy games in any of them, is there? So,
and again, tickets will be like hen's teeth. for
Aye,
away
that's
games,
the
which is a shame because so many people want to go to see the away games now. But it is what it
aye.
is, and if we don't get a ticket, sure, we'll watch on telly with the masses. But hopefully we will, Michael. It's been a pleasure as always to chat. It was
Thanks,
great.
mate.
It was great to chat on Saturday night. It was great to see Joe Miller and Rennie and Frank and all the I suppose the old crew that turn up every year to support the charity dinner. We'll have the final figure on the donations. I'm just waiting on one or two people who pledge money to come in, but we'll be able to help John's charity and
The 12th line.
his legacy, which is the 12th line. And it was the first year that John, wasn't present since his passing away, and we missed him. It was an emotional night for the Fallon family, but it was great to have so many of them there, share
Yeah.
some memories of their dad.
Great to
And
hear the school's opening as well. Great to hear
yeah,
that the school that they're building is opening. So
it's
that's
incredible to think that these kids were being taught under a tree in the sunshine, and
yeah,
now for the first time ever, their parents got to go and register their children into a school, and the fact that John Fallon's name is attached to it is just he would be so proud.
brilliant legacy. It's a brilliant legacy. You
Yeah.
know that the educating children and feeding them. It's beats a statue any day. I think. No, although statues have their places.
Yeah, the statues are fantastic.
Yeah.
But I think for have a legacy like a school, which is there forever, and but it needs funding, and I'm delighted that this year that was a chosen charity. We did do it 2 years ago as well,
Yeah.
and John was there. So yeah, and you know some of John's old friends there, some of the old stalwarts of the pool outside the pool's office. Great to chat to
Yeah.
them. So, folks, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everyone who came to our dinner at the weekend, and also those who donated that went to the dinner. We will talk again next week, Michael. Hopefully, we will be celebrating a good 3 points over the weekend. Thanks very much for your
Hopefully.
time.
Thank you.